Hello everyone and welcome back to the world of Broken Sword. Yep, we're going back to our roots. I'm Pete.
And I'm Viv.
And today we're playing the second in the Broken Sword series called The Smoking Mirror. And this one, again developed by Revolution Software, this one came out in 1997. So yeah, it was barely a year after the first one, so it's quite an impressive turnaround time on this. Okay, so let's just dive right in. Yeah, apparently that's the Attitude version we're going for in the mid-90s.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there's that old familiar fanfare. Once again, it was the late, much-missed Barrington Fillon doing the music. And you'll notice it's a much more kind of Mayan or Incan kind of vibe to the music this time. There's a very good reason for that.
That could be right.
This must be the place. Professor Oubier's house.
Looks pretty creepy. I'd been away from Paris and hadn't seen Nico for nearly 6 months. I wanted to celebrate our reunion, but she had other plans. An appointment with an archaeologist. Something to do with a Mayan stone she came across while researching the story. The guy who answered the door didn't look much like an archaeologist to me.
That's true, he doesn't look a thing like Indiana Jones.
I had a bad feeling about this.
So yeah, I mentioned the end of our previous Let's Play. Rolf Saxon was the only voice actor to reprise his role, playing George again. This time Nico was played by Jenny Karen Hall. Afraid I don't know the names of any of the other voice actors. But oh look, things are looking up now. Oh, by the way, you're not afraid of spiders, are you, Viv?
Very.
Yeah, I should probably have warned you, but yeah. Apologies to any arachnophobes watching. And there, just to be thorough, let's set the room on fire as well, why not?
Just to be sure. Toasted spiders.
Blimey, that was uncalled for. Okay, so right off the bat, yeah, continuing on from the assertion of strong openings, I think this is pretty effective.
How does George get into those like this, really?
Exactly. Right off the bat, we're tied to a chair, we've got a spider that's got a worryingly fixed stare on our ghoulies, and we're in a burning room. It does kind of beg the question of why the big lad didn't just shoot George, if it's pretty clear here he just wants him dead.
Yeah.
And we established later on that he does have a gun. But what the hell, it's still a pretty effective opening.
There were only 3 things I didn't like about spiders. The way they looked, the way they moved, and the fact that they lived on the same planet as me. This spider was big, mean, and hairy, and definitely not a native of Europe.
Okay, and one thing I should probably address just before we get into this game. Yeah, don't worry, the spider's fairly patient. Second game, it's a lot more forgiving with regard to killing the player. Okay, I think I kind of just mentally counted through the number of times it's possible to die in the first game. I came out with about, I think there's 8 in total places where you can die in various different situations. I think I'm just going to include a montage of it here.
And you can just drop those guns. You're impressing nobody.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. This game, by comparison, has 3.
3?
Only 3.
Wow, is this one of them?
Yeah. Well, strictly speaking, there's 3 that you're likely to see, and 1 that's really well hidden, like to such an extent that most people didn't even know it was in the game until like 20 years afterwards.
Fair enough.
But that hidden 4th one is right here. What we have to do is sit here and literally do nothing for 10 minutes.
Ah.
So it's unlikely to be seen, and after that, the spider will finally get bored and attack.
Ah.
So I'm not going to show that here. I might put it in just as a bonus at the end of the video, record it later on. But
Attack the spider.
yeah. So yeah, stomping on the spider has no effect, so we just have to find a way to MacGyver our way out of this situation. So right off the bat, we have a bookcase nearby.
I glanced over the books, vaguely hoping to find a copy of How to Deal with Poisonous Spiders While Tied to a Chair.
That's one of my favorites.
No such luck. But I noticed one corner of the bookcase was supported by a loose block of wood. The bookcase was too big and heavy to move.
Okay, so we can't do anything with the bookcase itself, but George pointed out the block of wood down here.
The block of wood had been used to replace the original foot of the bookcase.
I wonder what'll happen if
He's going to put it in his pocket, isn't he?
Maybe
Oh.
I'd been a little heavy-handed, but it was a question of survival. Of course, I was still tied to a chair in a burning house with no means of escape.
And if we're feeling particularly morbid, we can examine the remains of the spider.
Yellow pus was seeping from below the bookcase. That spider was very squashed. I wasn't touching that spider goo.
Go on, save some for later, George. Put it in your coat.
Yeah, you never know when you might need some. And, oh look, what could this be?
The bookcase had been anchored to the wall by a protruding metal bracket. It had sheared off as the bookcase had fallen, leaving a jagged edge.
Oh.
A jagged edge, you say?
With one mighty bound, our hero was free. Now, I had to deal with that fire.
But first, let's have a look around.
It was the chair I'd been tied to.
So you want to sit back down? Yeah, why not?
I had no time to sit around.
Well, please yourself then, Lord.
Ubier and his wife, I guess. Nice couple.
And you've probably noticed by now there's some subtle changes to the interface. We still have the standard arrow for just pointing George somewhere and making him walk.
Yeah.
But remember the old game had the moving cogwheels and the magnifying glass icons? This time they're both just rolled into that single kind of crosshairs icon.
The bureau had a sliding lid.
Oh, it also is... what's the word? Generous, I suppose would be the word. To highlight what the particular objects are and give them a name.
Yeah.
So we actually know what we're looking at.
Inside, I found a bottle of tequila.
What do we think, viewers? Do we need a drink?
Absolutely.
It was a half bottle of extra strong Mexican tequila. Just what I needed under the circumstances.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's make ourselves more flammable.
Normally, I didn't drink strong spirits, but today was far from normal.
You're in the burning room.
Ew. Disgusting. Not only did the tequila burn like hell, I just managed to stop myself from swallowing the worm.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Viv, you know what you were saying about picking up the remains of the spider? You weren't
What
too
looked
far
like a
from the
little
right
shriveled
way
wiener
forward.
lay on the carpet. Thankfully, it was only the worm from the tequila bottle. Well, I wasn't going to eat it. But life had taught me one thing. No matter how unlikely it seems, the strangest objects have their
That's why
uses.
you've got a coat full of crap, George.
Exactly.
Even tequila worms.
So here we go. There's our starter for 10. Cute little fella.
It was that itsy-bitsy tequila worm. I really must remember to take it out of my pants before I send it to the laundry.
It raises all kinds of implications. Okay, now, an interesting note about this little thing. I only found this out recently, in fact. We need this for a puzzle, like way later on in the game. But it is possible to leave this section of the game without picking it up.
Oh.
And once we leave, it's impossible to get back.
Oh. Okay. So you
but-
can't finish it later.
No, actually. But rather than doing the Sierra King's Quest, Space Quest thing of just basically locking us in an unwinnable game, Revolution actually went out of their way to come up with an alternative solution if you don't have the worm. That includes a different object that you can also get rid of before that point in the game, so they actually came up with a third alternative.
Oh my god.
And I have never actually seen any of these options, so I'm gonna have like an additional save file alongside this, just so we can see.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, just so we can see the different results. But anyway, back to trying to get out of this burning building.
It was a needle-sharp dart with a flight of green and yellow feathers. That dart was sharper than a mosquito's business end, but this didn't deter me from getting it anyway.
So now we have the dart that knocked Nico out.
It was the poisoned dart which had stunned Nico.
That's what I said.
I'd never known anything keep her quiet so effectively.
Am I right, lads?
There's not even any smoke in the room yet. This is quite impressive.
Yeah, actually, if we come over and inspect the fire, you'll notice it hasn't spread at all.
Wow.
I don't know what UBA's house is made out of, but it's really good at retarding the flame.
Yeah.
Is that the right word? Flame retardant?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that is a phrase. And we have Nico's handbag.
It was
over
Nico's
here.
bag.
So as soon as our girlfriend's out of the picture, the first thing we do is run
It was
through
a stylish little
Of
canvas
course.
number containing a lipstick, a handwritten note, and a pair of nylon panties with a large love heart emblazoned across the front. It occurred to me that Nico's tastes must have really changed while I was away. Well, they could be useful.
What, just the panties?
No! No!
It was a pair of red, lace-trimmed panties decorated with a large black satin heart.
Yeah, so in the course of trying to escape from a burning building, we are now carrying our girlfriend's knickers in our pocket. Yeah, he's a keeper, is that George?
It was Nico's lipstick. It wasn't my color, and it reminded me of clowns.
But all will be explained. Who could the note be from? Any ideas? I'll give you a hint. It is from someone we've met before in the previous game.
What was the archaeologist guy called?
Yeah. Andre?
Yeah.
Yep, that's the one.
I guess I had no business reading
No,
it,
you didn't.
but I figured it might give me a clue to what Nico was involved in. It was from Andre Lavino, the history student Nico had known at college. The letter was sentimental mush, and revealed that the exotic lingerie, as he called it, was a gift from him.
Ew.
It gave his telephone number. Lavino figured himself as a rival for Nico's affections, but I couldn't believe that that creep was in the running.
So yeah, as I said, they had a slightly antagonistic relationship in the first game, but by this point, as I mentioned earlier, they just openly loathe one another.
It was the box that spider had crawled from.
Souvenir?
I wasn't going to touch the box after that spider had been inside it.
Oh, fine. Okay, well, let's address the elephant in the room and also the fire.
The fire had taken hold and ignited part of the polished wooden floorboards. I racked my brains to think of a way to improvise a fire extinguisher. If only I'd stopped for a coffee at the airport.
Honestly, lavatorial humor, George, that's beneath you. But over here, we have
It was a soda fountain.
a soda fountain.
Perfect for mixing with drinks or squirting at clowns.
Exactly. How convenient.
There was no pressure in the siphon. I guess it was out of gas.
Wouldn't you know it? Let's see if we can find
In the
our place.
cabinet's wooden door was a very small keyhole. The cabinet was locked.
Okay, so the cabinet's locked, but there's a very small keyhole. So, how do we pick it?
Oh, we're gonna pick it. Oh, using the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, the little
Dart.
dart. Yeah, exactly.
As I released the lock, something blew the doors open.
Didn't seem to need much encouragement, did it? So that's what caused it.
It was a small cylinder which seemed to have exploded. I couldn't think of a use for a burst cylinder.
But conveniently enough, there's an unburst one right next to it.
It was a small metal cylinder. That cylinder was hot. I couldn't pick it up with my bare hands.
Okay, so we need someone to pick it up with. You're not gonna like the solution.
No.
Yep, I'm afraid so.
That's cool. He could have used his jumper sleeve.
The panties I'd found in Nico's bag were just what I needed to wrap around the hot cylinder.
Hey, use what you've got.
It's so fun.
But anyway, the upshot is we now have a usable cylinder.
Yeah.
It was a small metal cylinder with a valve at one end. The cylinder gave out a faint hiss as the valve opened.
What?
Now I had one primed up and ready to use extinguisher.
Now we do have the option of what we want to use it on, but really there's no other option.
Guessing it's the.
Yeah, I think that might be a good idea. Just a thought.
Doesn't really look like there'd be enough water in there.
With a well-aimed
Well, it's a
squirt
very
of
contained
soap,
fire.
our unshakable hero saved the day. Now it was time to start looking for Nico. The door blocked my only means of escape.
Yeah, one small problem, the door is still locked. So how do we deal with that?
Pick it.
I wasn't going to burn myself on that red-hot doorknob, and it wasn't the time for
Kick it in,
subtlety.
Jump out the window.
So yeah, Georgia apparently took several levels in badass since the last game.
Yeah.
The front door was made of hard wood, supported by a sturdy frame. The door was locked. I didn't fancy my chances of kicking this door down.
Yes, this time we actually do need a key to get out. But it doesn't matter yet because we don't know where to go.
The door led to some other part of Ubier's mansion.
And here's another Revolution red herring. We never find out what's behind that door.
Really?
Nope.
It was locked. It was Ubier's telephone.
And you'll recall we now have Andre's number.
Ah. Well,
Much as I disliked him, Labano might be my only hope of finding Nico. Hi, Andre?
Who is this?
It's George Stobbart, Nico's boyfriend.
Don't you mean ex-boyfriend?
Look, I didn't call you just to pick a fight. I need to talk to you about Nico.
Can't you accept she's just not interested in you?
Listen, Andre, we need to talk. Nico's life depends on it.
Okay. You remember the cafe at Montfaucon?
Sure. Andre? You better show, you creep. I felt an irrational urge to wipe my ear.
Okay, so anyway, now we have a place we need to get to, but we still need
you're
to find
still
a way
locked
out.
in.
Sorry?
You're still locked in.
Exactly.
It's just-
But, oh, what could this be?
It was a folded clipping taken from a newspaper. I'd found a piece of newspaper folded in two. It referred to a forthcoming eclipse of the sun. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be visible from Europe. The best place to view the eclipse would be Mexico.
I wonder if we'll be going to a good place to see the eclipse some point in this game.
Sounds like a suggestion.
Let's have a closer look.
It was the newspaper clipping referring to the imminent eclipse. Wrapped inside it was another small piece of paper. It was a bank statement for Ubier's account from an automatic telling machine. The last 5 withdrawals were for large amounts, and all made in Marseille.
Not more detail.
It was Ubier's bank statement.
Okay, well, that's all the detail we're going to get. But we know that Ubier has dealings in Marseille, so an all-important clue. But I have to go back up here and try and find the key. We could have found it earlier, but I just kind of forgot, so sorry about that. Yeah, same place as the tequila.
It was a closed drawer. In the drawer was a small decorated pot.
Let's see what's in the pot.
The pot contained a key.
Well, aren't we lucky?
It looked like a house key.
Now, just a second, I'm just going to turn the music down just a little bit. That should be okay. Sorry, I was just beginning to drown the voices out a wee bit. And I suppose not as good a point as any. I think on a technical level, this is a lot more impressive than its predecessor. We can see the way we can see the shadows on George when he moves into the shaded areas. Yeah, pretty cool, eh? Well, it was cool by 1997 standards, anyway.
Oh, yeah.
The bars attached to the window would prevent anyone getting in. They also stopped me from getting out.
And also, you can see that just the screens just kind of scroll along a lot more smoothly than the first one as well.
I wasn't going to get through those sturdy bars.
But the good news is we don't need to anymore, because now we've got the key. Oh, and also, hey, we've got the old skip forward thing now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we no longer need to watch him take the long way around towards the exit every single time. Another big advantage this game has over its predecessor.
I unlocked the door.
Okay, so onward to Montfaucon.
I wasn't looking forward to meeting Labino again, but he was my only link with Nico.
Remember this place?
Oh, God, yeah.
There was no sign of Labino when I got to the cafe. I decided to order a coffee and wait for him.
What do we think? For old time's sake?
I had no desire to go down into the sewers.
Oh, fair enough then.
The waiter's stained and crumpled clothes looked as if they'd been slept in. I decided not to bother with a meal.
You recognize this chap here?
Is it the cop?
The man at the next table looked somehow familiar. Pardon me, but don't I know you?
Huh?
You were here the day I found the catacombs.
I was?
Yep.
Ah,
Still
yes.
gendarme.
I remember you.
Yeah. Are you still in the police force?
No, not anymore. I'm a man of leisure. And what brings you back to Paris?
So yeah, once again, a voice actor who sounds nothing like his predecessor.
Yeah.
So what should we say brings us back to Paris? Nico or Lobino?
Oh, Nico.
Obviously.
My girlfriend.
What it is to be young and in love. Will you share a bottle of wine with me?
Hey, listen, I'd love to, but I need to keep a clear head.
So my company isn't good enough for you.
Well, he's sensitive.
Shoot him with a dart. I'm joking, no, don't.
So yeah, but well, that brings us on to the new conversation system. So rather than have topics along the bottom and every item in our possession along the top, we just have all of it neatly arranged at the bottom. So
Okay.
we already know if they'd be interested in a particular item because it shows up down here.
Okay.
If they wouldn't, then
It's not
well,
there.
it doesn't. So quite as simple as that, really. So what should we talk about?
Himself.
Yeah, let's talk about him. Let's see what's happened to him in the 6 months we've been away.
Why did you leave the police?
I was forced to retire. The golden handshake. Only in my case, it was more copper than gold.
How come?
I was made a scapegoat to cover up the department's inefficiencies.
Yeah, I feel your pain, my friend. Anyway, what's next? So this chap here is Ubier, or at least who we think is Ubier. Hint, hint.
Okay.
That's the archaeologist Nico was meeting.
Or the news article, maybe.
The one about the eclipse?
Yeah.
What do you make of this news cutting?
Orphanage supplied fast food chain?
No, it's the article above that.
Oh! Total eclipse of the sun. Well, that's very dull in comparison. I don't know anything about eclipses.
Another nice little touch I like is the way we actually see George reaching into his pocket and showing the item to whoever he's talking to. It very rarely actually shows it in the animation, but still, it's something at least. Anyway, what's next?
The guy in the hat. So yeah, I can't remember.
Professor Ubier.
Yeah.
Let's see what he makes of
Have
him.
you ever heard of a Professor Ubier?
No, monsieur. I don't recall the name.
Well, apparently he's an expert on Mayan art and history.
A little out of my field of experience, monsieur. If he'd been a serial killer or a sodomite, I might have been able to help.
It's very rare you'd have a reference to sodomites and gaming, especially before the turn of the century. But anyway, what's he drinking, I wonder?
It was a small silver flask from which the man was topping up his glass. I couldn't snatch the man's flask while he was looking.
So yep, the old staple, we have to distract him. But not just yet.
It was too hot to sit inside the cafe. Besides, I might miss Labino.
We actually have to wait for the waiter to come back so we can order a cup of coffee. So yeah, whenever you're ready there, Garçon. Oh, there he is.
Oh, garçon. He ignored me. I'm sure it was deliberate.
Charming. Shall we talk to the old man again while we wait for him?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, what is he drinking, I wonder?
What's that you're drinking?
It's wine.
Yeah, wine in quotes. So, shall we see what he makes of the dart?
Yeah.
What do you make of this dart?
I remember a case where the victim was killed with just such a device. The poison acted in seconds, causing his body to swell up like an inflatable life raft.
Lovely. And last and also least, Labino's note.
Tell me what you make of this note.
From my years of experience, I gained a pretty good insight into handwriting. I'd say that note was written by a compulsive, obsessive type with an Oedipus complex.
Hey, you've got just about everything apart from the ponytail.
So, all conversation options exhausted, we'll leave him to it. Now I'm back to waiting for the waiter, rather ironically. Oh, there he is.
Hey, you.
What?
I'd like a cup of coffee if you don't mind.
When I finish serving this gentleman.
And now we have to wait for him again.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I think this is a pretty drastic change in pace after the opening.
It is.
But anyway, here's our coffee now.
Un café.
Thanks.
So now we can talk with him while we wait for Labino. So, what shall we discuss?
Oh. Yo, man.
Do you know that man over there?
I should think so. He's a regular customer.
He never went away, clearly. Shall we ask about what he's drinking?
Yeah.
What does that guy keep pouring out of his flask?
Absinthe.
Absinthe? I thought that was highly dangerous and outlawed in France.
It is. Don't look at me, I didn't sell it to him.
Well, fair enough then. Does he know Labino, I wonder?
Let's see.
Do you know a guy called André Labino?
Oui, I know him. What of it?
I'm supposed to meet him here. Did I miss him?
No, I have not seen him today.
So he's yet to show up then. So what next? We can talk about the dart, or about the professor.
Professor.
Have you heard of Professor Ubier?
Oui. He married that actress, the little dachshund. They used to come here. The nutty professor and the movie star.
So now we can ask about his wife as well.
If Ubier's wife was a movie star, how come I never heard of her?
She was big in France. The world doesn't stop at Hollywood. Her stage name was Carol Climax. She died in suspicious circumstances.
Intrigued yet?
Maybe a little bit.
How did Ubier's wife die?
I heard he shot her.
And got away with it?
He had a good lawyer and a watertight alibi.
O.J. Simpson.
Why would an eminent public figure like Ubier risk everything for murder?
He
Again,
wouldn't be
O.J.
the
Simpson.
first, would he? Besides, people like him always get off.
Yep, that's pretty much all I'm going to say on the subject.
No.
Look at this. A poison dart.
Ah oui, sure.
It's the real thing. Knocked my girlfriend out cold in a matter of seconds.
Romantic. Sounds like a real close relationship you have going.
50 Shades of Dart? Okay, I'll work on that one.
That's all.
Thank you.
And oh, look who's here.
Well, well, this is a surprise, Georgie.
I wouldn't normally call you. But Nico's in trouble, Andre. Deep trouble. You have to help me find her.
What? What have you dragged her into this time?
It was you that recommended Professor Oubier as an expert on Mayan art. Now his butler's kidnapped her, and he tried to kill me.
Every time she gets involved with you, there is trouble. Walking out on her was the best thing you could do.
My father was dying, damn it. I had no choice.
Well, she soon recovered once she went back to her old friends.
Drop it, Andre. Right now, Nico's in danger, and we have to work together.
So, how can I help?
Nico needed to speak to Oubier about a stone.
Oh, you mean this stone?
Pretty stone.
Yeah.
So that's what all the trouble's about.
Precisely. Nicole told me to guard it with my life.
Well, it's worth more than that, surely.
Oh, very funny.
What's funny is that your life really is on the line.
What are you talking about?
The stone is a Mayan artifact, dummy, and the guy who kidnapped Nico was from Central America. It was the stone they were after.
Oh my god, you mean I could be in danger too?
Big picture kind of thinker, this one. Right. Shall we talk about the stone some more?
Yeah.
What do you suppose the carving on the stone means?
I don't know. I haven't shown it to anyone.
Why don't you just give it to me?
I don't want your death on my conscience, George.
Okay, that's weirdly noble coming from Andre.
Where did Nico get the stone?
It was sent to her.
From where? Who?
I'm not sure I should tell you.
Oh, you should.
It was something to do with smuggling.
So I should probably go through the topics really. So we have the professor again, the big Central American lad who knocked us out, the tequila worm, the pot, and Oubier's bank statement. What do we think?
Maybe start with banks.
Take a look at this, Andre.
It's a bank statement?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Professor Oubier's account. 5 large cash withdrawals in the space of 3 days, all from an automatic teller in Marseille. Suspicious, isn't it?
You're even more crazy than you were before.
Well, he's not worried about it anyway. Okay, what's next?
Top hat guy.
Why didn't Nico take the stone to Oubier?
I don't know. Perhaps she suspected something like this would happen.
If she's been hurt, Andre, I'll break every bone in your body.
No, that's typical of you. Do you think I don't care what happens to Nicole?
It occurred to me that slugs don't have bones to break, but I kept that thought to myself.
Which is a shame, because it's a good line.
Tell me about your friend Oubier.
He's more of a professional acquaintance than a friend.
I see. So you don't really know him at all?
No, I don't.
Well, that was a dry well. Right, what's next? Shall we see what he makes about the pot?
Yeah.
What can you tell me about this pot?
South or Central American, I'd say. I have a friend who'd be able to tell you more.
Where can I find this guy?
He owns a gallery on the left bank, the Gliese Gallery.
So there we go. So now we have, as if by magic, we have another location to explore. Right. I suppose we could ask about the fellow who knocked us out.
Does Oubier employ a guy from Central America?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, another dry well. And last but not least...
What do you think this is, Andre?
I don't know.
I'll give you a clue. It's got more backbone than you.
You think you're amusing, don't you?
A little bit.
Well, he has his moments.
See you later.
Goodbye, Georgie.
And now some intrigue.
I've had enough of your games, Kala. Tell me what you've done with my stone.
I thought your business was simply smuggling cocaine, Karzak. Why are you so interested in that stone?
Either you tell me what I want to know, or Pablo here will make you talk.
Okay. Well, I figured someone at the university would be able to help. So I had a word with one of my girlfriends, and she told me her boyfriend was a lecturer. I sent the stone to the Department of Ethnology. You know, I figured it was South American, so... You're not buying this, are you?
That's enough! I don't have time to listen to your mindless prattle. We'll leave you to think it over. Come the morning, you'll be ready to talk.
Yeah, so that's an advantage this game has over its predecessor. It establishes the bad guy fairly early on, and he's clearly not someone to be fucked with. So, like, compared to the clown in the previous game, who was just kind of... He was just really kind of a plot device, and by the time we actually got to know him, we found out he wasn't really a villain at all.
It was creepy.
Yeah, and the actual villain of the piece, the Grand Master, isn't even introduced until like what, two-thirds of the way through. So yeah, Karzak certainly I think probably a big improvement over that. But anyway, so may as well enjoy the cup of coffee.
I was sure I'd asked for cream in my coffee.
No, you didn't.
But he'd brought me black. The coffee was very bitter and only lukewarm. There was also an unpleasant coagulated lump at the bottom of the cup. The cup was empty apart from an unpleasant brown stain and a thick lump. That was undoubtedly the most disgusting cup of coffee I'd ever tasted in my life.
So obviously we're going to complain.
You need anything else?
There's something incubating in the bottom of my cup, garçon.
You asked for it. That's the cream.
But it's all in one lump.
No problem. I'll bring you a fork.
Forget it. That's all.
Thank you.
Is that how they do it in France? Just like a lump of stuff for cream? Because that doesn't sound very pleasant. But anyway, before we move on, so we can talk about anything here and they all have the same effect gameplay-wise. We can ask about him, about Professor Rubio's wife, or we can talk to him about Nico again. What do we think, viewers?
I'm trying to find my girlfriend. She's been kidnapped.
Kidnapped?
Yeah, it was our first day back together after many months.
That's too bad. My God, that's depressing.
And oh look, he's distracted.
I won't say much.
I grabbed the flask and was struck by a powerful smell of absinthe, a highly potent and illegal alcoholic drink.
I think we're doing a public service here, because he has clearly had enough. I mean, look at him.
It was the flask of absinthe I'd borrowed from the gendarme.
Yeah, borrowed, because obviously we're going to give that back. But anyway.
Now I had another lead. I could either go back to Ubier's house, or visit the Glee's gallery.
Nothing really to begin from going back to the house, so let's move on to the gallery.
The Glee's gallery had style and class, but very few customers. I couldn't believe it. The pots were marked at 5,000 francs each. As far as I could tell, the plots were almost identical to the one I'd found in Ubier's house.
So yeah, use of francs, that dates the game, doesn't it?
It
At
does
that price,
massively.
I wasn't going anywhere near those pots. The wasteland. Too minimalistic for too much money.
Ooh, deep.
The wasteland.
Yeah, we've had that already.
Looked like a witch and a headless bust. I had seen better. I didn't think much of any of these artifacts.
Right. Well, let's start asking questions.
The girls were in a world of their own. Hi, girls. What's the joke?
Anata wakirete desu ne.
Okay, fine.
Yep, I don't know what they're saying either.
Pots, pots, and more pots, all hugely expensive. The pots were protected by a glass case.
What could this picture be called, I wonder?
Rectangles in a desolate landscape. Highly cubist.
Yep, that's Cubist, all right. Let's adjust the music a bit more.
He was a pear-shaped guy with a fine display of multiple chins.
Let's see what the chins make of all this.
Are you Mr. Glees, the owner?
Good God, no.
Then I guess that must be him over there, right?
Your powers of deductive reasoning astound me.
Okay, so we can ask him about the professor, about what he's drinking, or we can show him the pot that we got.
Oh, the professor, I think, first.
Have you heard of Professor Ubier?
Yes, of course.
I was at his house earlier.
If you're going to drop names, you could at least name one worth dropping.
I thought Ubier was a well-respected man.
Why, his last book was nothing but pseudo-intellectual claptrap. The demented ramblings of a drug-dependent has-been.
So I take it you liked it then?
What's he drinking?
What's that you're drinking?
I'm not sure, but I have a suspicion it might be urine. Glees can't expect a favorable criticism of his gallery when he serves this muck.
And finally, the pot.
Would you give me your opinion on this pot, sir?
Yes, very rapouche.
Rapouche?
Hideous.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
What's the difference between my pot and all those other pots?
Yours is broken.
Why, you smug, pompous sloth.
Sticks and stones, dear boy, sticks and stones.
Oh,
So, what was his opinion on the pot that he just smashed?
You smashed my pot.
Quite right.
Certainly, it was not only worthless, it was ugly and offensive.
To you, maybe.
Believe me, I was doing you a favor.
it's horrible. What a horrible human.
A very nice guy, clearly.
I wasn't going to waste any more breath talking to that pompous blimp. Maybe I could turn the situation to my advantage, and at the same time, get my revenge.
Revenge is always fun.
Pots, pots, and more pots, all hugely expensive.
What's this picture
Spheres in a barren waste. Oh, very profound. I could see a pattern emerging in this artist's work. Spheres in a barren...
Yep, we've got that already. So by process of elimination, this is Mr. Glees.
He looked like an older version of Labano. The same supercilious expression, the same disdain in his eyes, and the same damned ponytail.
Now, before we talk to this gentleman, I'm going to say there is a particular line when we're introduced to him that, in light of recent political events in the United Kingdom, has not aged particularly well.
Ah,
I will let the rest speak for itself.
I'd like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Certainly, sir. I'd be most happy to oblige.
You're English?
These days, one prefers to think of oneself as European.
Really?
Sure. Whatever you say.
And how precisely may one assist you, sir?
Because apparently there's 17.3 million people who don't prefer to think of themselves as European.
I enjoyed being European.
Well, that's all I'm gonna get. All I'm gonna say on that particular subject. I don't want to get mobbed in the comments. But anyway.
That would imply people were listening.
Yeah. Come on, Brexiteers, tell me why I'm on the wrong. I don't care. Just comment on my video. I need more views, damn it. Anyway. Oh yeah, I look forward to going over the analytics for this one. But anyway, we can ask him about the stone. That,
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
What I
let's
really
look at
wanted to ask you about was a black stone.
A black stone?
A black stone?
Yeah, it's a Mayan artifact, about as big as my hand.
No, sir, one doesn't get much call for black stone. If it's Mayan artifacts you're interested in, I have some rather exquisite pots.
So did I, until that slob smashed it.
Well, we could ask what he's feeding the guy.
There is a gentleman over there who seems to be enjoying your wine.
I can't think why. It was very cheap.
Fair enough then.
Okay.
Right, what next?
Pots.
I have some questions I'd like to ask about those pots.
The Mexican collection? Certainly, sir.
Where did you get them from?
Mexico, of course.
Well,
I think
sir
will find the price extremely reasonable.
Hey, I'm not interested in buying them.
Oh, I see. Well, in that case, you'll excuse me.
Oh.
Well, very well then.
It was a machine for reading credit cards. I had no possible use for a credit card reader. A valuable relic of an ancient civilization lay smashed on the floor. The pot had smashed into too many pieces to retrieve.
Oh.
He was a pear-shaped guy.
Yeah, why don't we know his name yet?
He's just man.
Well, he does have a name. Why don't we know it? Come on.
Have you heard of Professor Ubier?
Of course. His name is synonymous with Mayan art. A number of these artifacts were supplied by Ubier himself.
Aha.
Which pieces? Maybe pots again.
Pots again, yeah.
I suppose you have an import license for these relics?
Of course. But that's not my problem, sir. The professor arranges all the shipping. We simply collect the items from the docks.
Okay, important information.
Could you tell me which docks Professor Ubier uses to import the artifacts?
Good God, no. I can't possibly reveal my commercial secrets.
Okay. Irritating, but understandable. Shall we see what he makes like
his
the
wife.
Oh, his wife?
Do you believe the story that Ubier murdered his wife?
If it was true, who can blame him? She was an opportunist tramp. Well, that's what I heard.
Charming.
Nice.
Have you seen any of Ubier's wife's films?
Only one. Believe me, I was appalled, shocked, disgusted, and repulsed.
Well, you sure got your money's worth. Last time I went to the movies, I wasn't even titillated.
Moving swiftly on from that conversation. We can ask about the eclipse. Yeah.
I found this news story referring to a total eclipse of the sun.
Really, sir? Well, fascinating.
Yeah, I can tell he's engaged.
Do you get many Central American Indians in here?
No, sir. This is Paris. Central America is several thousand kilometers southwest of here. Straight across the Atlantic Ocean and turn left. You can't miss it.
Well, as it happens, I saw some Central American Indians this very morning.
Tourists, sir. Paris is full of them at this time of year.
Yeah, for that matter, he's a long way from England.
Yeah.
Not pointing that out. Yeah, I'm not sure why we haven't been introduced to this guy, or haven't learned his name, rather. Well, anyway, his name's Leon.
Ah.
And we find out much later on his first name is Hector, but that isn't
It was a sturdy packing case.
So what do you reckon? Will he let us examine the packing case?
Dunno, let's see.
Of course.
Excuse me, sir.
Uh-huh.
That area is private.
Oh, so I'm not allowed back here?
No, sir.
To distract him.
Of course. We need another diversion. So George mentioned earlier on about getting our revenge against this guy, and at the same time taking advantage of or turning the situation to our advantage. So, how can we do that?
What is that about? Oh. I can't think.
I'll give you a hint. It's to do with the wine glass.
Oh, what's he got in his?
Possibly urine.
The glass was
sure.
half full of wine.
Fairly sure grabbing it will do nothing. Oh, I can't click on it now.
The way that guy was gripping the glass, I'd need a wrench to get away from him.
So what do we think?
What have we got?
Well, we've got... that should be amusing. We have the worm, the dart, Nico's lipstick, the note, Nico's knickers, the 2 pieces of paper there, the key, and the flask of absinthe.
Oh, are you going to put absinthe in that?
Quite right. Just as soon as the animation finishes. We spike him.
Oh, he's there.
I splashed a little absinthe into the glass and hoped he wouldn't notice the change of color.
You would notice.
Did you put something in my drink?
Yeah, I did. Well, what do you think?
Well, it's certainly an improvement over Gleese's wine. In fact, I could grow to like it.
You grew to like it, really? Well, let's give him another taste.
Allow me.
All the pots.
He was out for the count. I wasn't going to waste my breath on that drunkard. Glees wasn't happy, I could tell.
Yeah, let's do a bit of consolation, shall we?
Were those pots very valuable?
The pots are insured, but not the shelving. You've no idea how much that cost me.
Can we examine the key?
Fragments of priceless pots lay shattered on the floor.
We should at least volunteer to clear it up.
There was nothing
our
worth
fault.
retrieving from the mess.
No, one track mind, George, eh? Yeah, the girls don't seem too interested in what's going on, do they?
It's ignoring.
But anyway, we now have access to the private area. And the packing case.
There was nothing in the case but styrofoam packing, but pasted on the side was the remains of a label. It was a label bearing a company name and logo.
Let's see what the company name is.
Underneath the logo of a flying bird were the words Condor Transglobal Mars. The rest of the label was missing.
Marseille.
It was beginning to make sense. Oubier had organized Nico's abduction. Oubier withdrew money from Marseille. Oubier was connected with Transglobal, who shipped their goods from a warehouse in Marseille. That's how the torn Transglobal label had once read. Marseille, not Mars. It wasn't much of a lead, but it was all I had. I set off immediately to catch the evening train. It was almost dawn when I arrived in Marseille. I traced Condor Transglobal to a desolate dockside.
So here we are in Marseille. So the warehouse is somewhere over here, and presumably Nico is somewhere within. So next time we'll have a look around and see if we can't find her, eh? Okay. So until then, say goodnight, Viv.
Good night, Viv.
Good night, everybody.